Better late than never. It's Wednesday, and I've had a couple of obstacles put this podcast on pause, but we're going to get it done. We're going to talk about week 3. It's almost time for week 4, so we'll get through this as quickly as possible. Got a few things to say about what transpired in week 3 as we head into week 4. We're getting close to that quarter pole mark of the season, and you're still not quite sure what the hell's going on. There's some teams with their backs up against the wall. We'll talk about that on Friday's podcast. But man, things are getting pretty interesting. And for some teams, it's getting pretty late early. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louis T? Welcome to the 207th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoy this content, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button, as that helps this channel grow exponentially. Big shout out to Johnny68740 for being the first in the chat. If you're out there, you have a comment you want read, we'll try to get to some. Highly unlikely today. I'm going Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer. Go. Gonna try to get through this as fast as possible. So without any further ado, let's jump into the first segment of the show. You know what it is. Don't act brand new. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind. Let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louis T double E. Let me open you up. Get to thinking a little bit. So I want to take a look at kickers. I remember when I first started doing the Louis T Network and everything encompassing around it, one of the big things I like to do was like series. And I think I did a series when I first started out, and one of the shows in that series revolved around kickers. You know, I think it was like the death of the running game or something like that was one of the shows, and another one was like Kickers Matter or something to that effect. And kickers impact games, and we know that. Obviously, as fans, we know how big it can be to have a kicker that is reliable, like a Justin Tucker or a Mason Crosby. You know, when you've got one of those types of guys, or a Robbie Gould, that are timeless, and you just know if I tried him out there, more likely than not, he's going to put it through the uprights. That's a hell of a feeling, and it quells a lot of the anxiety that you may have about leaving the game in the hands of your kicker, or even just saying, hey, third quarter, I got a chance to kick a 53-yarder, but I'm not sure about my kicker. Maybe I should just punt this thing. You got a guy you can trust, 53, 54, 55. You don't care. You send him out there, he's going to bang it home. That's a great feeling to have. Then you have teams like the Vikings with Greg Joseph and past years, Dan Bailey and guys that just haven't been able to get it done for them, and they've left games on literally on the wrong side of the stat sheet. They've left games that should have been in the left-hand column on the right side of the column because they simply couldn't put it through the uprights. Hell, the Vikings have already done that once this year already against the Arizona Cardinals in week 2. So it is so important to have a kicker that you can trust. So I want to talk about kickers impacting games in week 3 in particular. And we've seen kickers impact games already this season. I just talked about the Vikings kicker Greg Joseph missing a kick in week 2 that would have given the Vikings the win over the Cardinals in a hell of a football game. Obviously Washington gets the win, but they could have gotten the loss. Their kicker missed the kick initially, did Dustin Hopkins. He got a reprieve with the offsides penalty on Dexter Lawrence. They win the game after he bangs it home the second time around. So kickers impact games. Let's talk about some kickers impacting some games in week 3. It's important. You have to find a guy that can get it done. And you're seeing more and more teams devote draft capital to kickers, and it's really paying off right now. The Bengals have one of the better young kickers in the league right now, who's come in and McPherson, Alex McPherson. He's making everything, okay? He's making everything, and he's giving the Bengals a chance in this young season. So let's start with another young kicker in Chase McLaughlin in Cleveland. It's hard to kick field goals in Cleveland. Anywhere in the Midwest where the wind is howling, it's tough. You're outdoors, the wind is gusting, and if it's at your back, it may be beneficial. If it's blowing at you, tough titty. said the kitty, but the milk's still good. Or it could be blowing sideways. You could be getting crosswinds. You don't know what the hell's going to go on in those games, especially out in the Midwest. This guy banged home a 57-yarder in Cleveland in a game that was 3-0 at the time the Bears were ahead. Imagine if he misses that kick. Bears get great field position. Who knows how that game goes? Instead, he bangs it home. They tie the game up at 3, and the rest is history. The Browns essentially run away and hide. We'll talk about that game a little bit later on. It's a big kick, man. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, don't matter though. I still need those 3 points like Disco Inferno. So that's a big kick, man. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, don't matter when the kick occurs. 57 yards in a game that you're trailing 3-0. And it doesn't matter what the score is. You miss from 57. It's not only a blow to your team because you don't get points. You're giving up massive field position. It's a big kick. How about Younghoe Koo, who we used to make fun of when he was with the Chargers, and all of a sudden, he's turned into a really good kicker. He was the Pro Bowl representative for the NFC last year for this Atlanta Falcons football team. Falcons weren't good, but Younghoe Koo was one of the best kickers in football last season, and he's picking up where he left off last year. Bangs home a 40-yarder as time expires to beat the New York Giants in New York on Eli Manning jersey retire day, no less. It's a massive kick. He misses that kick and goes to overtime. Who knows if the Falcons are able to win that football game? But because he was able to put it through the uprights, they get the dub, and they're now on the win column here. They're in the win column, and they have a chance to get back to 500 if they can beat Washington this week. That's a massive kick for Younghoe Koo. How about Mason Crosby at the end of the Sunday night game? What a finish to that football game. What a game in general that was. Just a fantastic watch on Sunday Night Football. 30-28, the Packers get the win. It was such a dramatic finish that, Aaron Rodgers says after the game, how can you not romanticize about football? How can you not love this game? Of course you love it when you win, when you're on the right side of a comeback and your kicker banging it through the uprights. Had that been Robbie Gould depositing a 51-yarder to beat the Packers, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is talking about romanticizing the game of football, but that's nor here nor there. When you got a kicker like Mason Crosby that you trust to put out there, that at one point was going to be run out of Green Bay because he had a rough stretch, even though he had been one of the more accurate kickers in NFL history up until that point, Rodgers had to tell Green Bay management, hang on to this guy. He's good people's. He'll get out of this little funk he's in. He's been phenomenal since then. Big kick from 51 yards out on the road with a raucous crowd to down the 49ers 30-28. Big kick there, but there was no kick bigger in week number 3 than, of course, just incredible, a.k.a. Justin Tucker, the best field goal kicker these eyes have ever seen. The guy just doesn't miss. He's automatic, it feels like. And from 66, it was just crazy watching this game. We're going to talk about this game as we get into slate skating a little bit later on in the show. But it was amazing to watch this game kind of go through the motions. And you could see that the Lions were trying to win and the Ravens were trying to do everything in their power to lose this game. Like, you could see how this thing was setting up for this epic finish. And I thought Justin Tucker was going to just fall just short. This thing was from 65, it'd be good, but it's 66 and he's going to just go a little bit short. And it's 17-16. The Ravens are down to their final down of the game. It's 4th and forever. And they give Lamar Jackson all day to throw somehow. And this is why I hate prevent defense. You've been playing well all game. And then now you decide to rush 3, drop 8, and just got guys all over the field scattered around. And wide open comes Hollywood Brown. He catches it, gets up the field. The Ravens spike it. They get one last opportunity to kick the field goal, 66 yards. They try to get a quick 5-yard completion. It's to no avail. They don't want to waste all of their time. So they kick the field goal, and I'm thinking there's no way he's going to make this. Even though it's indoors and it's Justin Tucker, he takes a crow hop to give him a little bit more juice on the kick, and then he unloads. It hits the crossbar. When it hits the crossbar, you can't tell if you're not in the stadium. Because on the television, you just see the ball go up. You don't see it come forward. You don't see it go back towards the field. You just see the ball go in the air. So I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, pins and needles. This isn't even my team. And that ball's in the air. And I'm like, is it going forward? Is it going back? Where is it going? And then I look at the officials and I'm looking to see what they do. They look at each other and they put their arms up and I'm like, oh my God, he made the kick. That's insane. When you got a kicker like Justin Tucker, man, it changes the entire game. How about the guys that were on the wrong side of kicks, missing and really hurting their team in week 3? There were a plethora of kickers in that category. Let's run through some of them quickly. Chris Boswell, who has been just about as automatic as it gets for the Steelers over the years, missed from 42 yards out. I think he had some crazy streak, like 37 straight kicks under 50 yards that he had made or something crazy like that. Like, he doesn't miss, pretty much. When he missed this kick, like, I saw the Steelers get in the field goal range and they're lining up the kick. I turned away from their game because I just expected Chris Boswell to knock it home from 42 in a game that they're trailing 24-10. Like, they need these points. They're struggling. I told you the Steelers offense is anemic. We'll talk about that more in slate skating. But I said they need these points. And it's still a lot of time left in the game. So if he makes this field goal, cuts it to a 9-point game, it'd be big. Why? Because later on in the game, the Steelers would get back down there in a 24-10 game. It should have been 24-13 if he would have made the kick. They ultimately have to go for it on 4th down because they're running out of time. You can't kick a field goal and still be down 11. You need 7 here. So they go for it. Had they been down 9, they would have 11. They would have kicked the field goal, cut it to a 6-point game, and they would have ultimately had a chance to tie it on one possession with the 2-point conversion. But again, you miss those types of kicks. It was 24-7 at that time of the game. He misses the kick. That's a big miss in a game that you ultimately would have had a chance to maybe reduce the lead to 8 in one score when you got back down there instead of having to go for it in a 24-10 ball game with, with right around 4 minutes left. They had to go for it, and we knew they weren't going to get it. It was a 4th and long. It wasn't like it was 4th and 2. It was like 4th and 11. They weren't going to get that. They were struggling all day offensively, so that miss put them in that position. Another missed field goal, or a couple of missed extra points by place kicker Josh Lambo of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, last year it seemed like Josh Lambo could do no wrong. The guy literally felt like his kicks were in Lamborghinis, and he was in the Lambo, and he was chilling like a villain, feeling right all season. He wasn't missing. This year, dude's missing left and right, missing field goals, missing extra points. And in a game where you're up 13-7 after a kick 6 miss, and you're like, oh man, they get the crazy return, 109 yards, and they're up from Jamal Agnew, and they're up 13-7. Tack on this extra point. Let's go to halftime up 14-7. He misses the extra point. All right, so you come out of that, you're feeling good about yourself. The Cardinals score a field goal, get it to 13-10. You get a touchdown. You're feeling good. Here we go. He misses another extra point. It's 19-10. And like, these are deflating when you miss extra points. And just think about it this way. If he makes both of those extra points, it's 21-10. It's a 2-score game, but it's 11. Now think of it this way. You miss those 2, and the Cardinals get a field goal. Now it's 19-13. They only need a touchdown to take the lead, okay, in an extra point, and they're ahead, which is what happened. They get a touchdown, get the extra point, take the lead 20-19. You feel totally different if they score a touchdown, have to go for 2 to tie the game. They don't get it. Now you're up 21-19. Who's to say that you don't buckle down defensively and come up with some stops? Once they took the lead, Jacksonville started to say to themselves, here we go again. Like, they felt them breathing on their neck, and they just got stuck. And the Cardinals run away. You got to make those kicks, extra points, field goals, gotta have them, all of them. Much needed. He missed. It really hurt them in that ball game, especially a team struggling with confidence. You need every single point that you can get. How about Jason Sanders for the Miami Dolphins? Another one of these dudes that last year, you couldn't pay Jason Sanders to miss a kick last year. Okay, dude was money from everywhere, 58 and 56 and 54. Jason Sanders is money from anywhere on the field. Any stadium, anytime, anywhere, Jason Sanders banging it home. Not the case this year. 14-12 game in the second quarter. I want to say it was right before halftime. you had the momentum. This Dolphins team led in this game 14-0, right? And so you feel the momentum changing and the tide turning in the favor of the Raiders. It's 14-12. You get a big drive from the offense before halftime. It'd be nice to put these points on the board heading into halftime with a 17-12 lead and a little bit of momentum. Jason Sanders misses the kick, and that's a big miss from, I think it was 48, if I'm not mistaken. That's a massive miss for a guy that I know is fully capable of banging that home. It wasn't a matter of leg. It was a matter of accuracy. And that hurts. And remember, keep in mind how this game ultimately played out. This is a game that goes to overtime 25-25. You make that kick right before the half, you might win this game in regulation. And no telling how the Raiders play the game if the score is different. Obviously, in hindsight, it's easy to say that. But still, you just look at it from simple mathematics. End of the game, end of regulation, 25-25. You make that kick, maybe you win this game 28-25. Who knows? You know, you can't miss these types of kicks. That is a backbreaker going into halftime, missing a kick that would have given you a little bit of momentum heading into the halftime break. And Jason Sanders is better than that. Another kicker that's better than that is Jason Myers. So we go from one Jason to the next. Jason Myers in Seattle. Another one of these kickers that just simply doesn't miss. I think this missed kick that I'm about to tell you about snapped a streak of like 37 kicks in a row that this guy had made. It's some ridiculous number. He just doesn't miss. At home, away, it doesn't matter. Jason Myers doesn't miss. And so when a guy like this misses a kick, you're surprised because you're just accustomed to seeing him bang it home. So in a 17-14 game, and this was another one of those games similar to the Miami game where you're losing momentum, it's slipping away from you. You started out hot. The Seahawks were up 17-7 in this ball game, dominating the Vikings. And now all of a sudden, and if I'm not mistaken, at one point it might have been 10-0. Then it was 17-7. You're dominating this game, and now all of a sudden, here come the Vikings. They keep coming back. Now it's 17-14, and now you got a chance to put a field goal on the board from 44 yards, well within his range, inside, and he misses the kick. And that 17-14 lead should have been extended to 20-14. Instead, it stayed at 17. And guess what? The Seahawks themselves stayed at 17. They didn't score another point the remainder of the game. And not only did he miss that kick, and I talked about what missed kicks do, especially when you're not heading into the halftime break. Okay, what it does is not only does it deflate your team, it also gives up great field position. And that's what it did. The Vikings take that missed field goal, race down the field, and get a touchdown right before the halftime break and take the lead that they would not relinquish the remainder of the game, 21-17. That was a massive missed kick in a game that the Seahawks simply didn't respond to the Vikings' offensive firepower. You get that field goal, it stunts the growth of the momentum that the Vikings were building. Maybe you take a 20-14 halftime lead to the break, or maybe you take a 20-17 halftime lead. They don't get all the way to the end zone because the field position isn't as great. Either way, you miss, they turn that into a touchdown. That's a 10-point swing. You're now down 21-17 in a game that you have dominated really for much of the first half. You never recover. You lose that football game going away. And then finally, another guy that missed is Ryan Suckup. This one, I cut him a bit of a break from 55 yards out before the half against the Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicker. He's been really reliable for the Buccaneers. That's another team that struggled for years in the kicking department. You find a guy like Suckup, he's delivering for you. You're not going to kill him from missing from 55, but if you send him out there, you want him to bang it home. It was a big miss in the game. Obviously, at the time, it's 14-7. Rams are ahead. You get that field goal right before the half. It gives you some momentum. You saw how pumped up Sean McVay was when he missed that kick. He's dapping up everybody. He's got a vein popping out of his neck. He's running into the halftime locker room. He's charged because that's a big miss. And it turned out to be even bigger later in the game as the Bucs get a garbage time, what felt like a garbage time touchdown. They're down in the game, 34-17. It feels like it's over. Brady takes them down the field. They get a touchdown. It's cut to 10. You make that field goal before half. Now that's a 7-point deficit. They almost got that onside kick. But even had they recovered that onside kick, they wouldn't have had enough time to score twice. They wouldn't have had enough time to score twice. They would have needed to score quickly and then kick another onside kick and get it. They weren't going to do all of that. So had he made that kick, they recover that onside kick. It's a one-score game we're talking about. And again, maybe the Rams play it differently. At the end of the day, I said all of that to say this. Field goal kickers matter. Place kickers matter. Special teams matters. If you don't have yourself a reliable kicker, that could be the difference between 10 and 8 wins. That could be the difference between 11 and a postseason berth and 9 and just missing out, knocking on the door, but being on the outside looking in. You need to make sure your kicker is a reliable one. And some of these guys that missed in week 3 are reliable kickers. They're not perfect. Guys don't normally go 32 of 32 in a season. You're going to miss some kicks. But man, it's brutal when you miss kicks in games where you change the momentum or you take away an opportunity for your team later in the game because of your miss. That's rough. Some big time kicks were made, some game winners, 3 of them in week 3. Some big time misses happened in week number 3 as well. So let's get to some super chats real quick, and then we will go straight into slate skating. While I'm taking these super chats, go ahead, put your skates on, because we're going to go around this week 3 slate really quickly. I'm not going to waste a ton of time, so we'll go through the slate quickly. And I want to take these super chats real quick. This first one is from Big Blue Rising. Thank you for the super chat, Big Blue Rising. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, you said my Giants would beat the Falcons. When are my Giants realistically going to win a game? Also, will the next GM extend Saquon and Daniel? I did say you were going to win that game, and you should have. Can Adoree Jackson catch? That's a simple question, yes or no. Can he catch? Guy used to be a receiver, punt returner, kick returner. I expect him to catch that interception that Matt Ryan threw to him. He didn't. You lose the game because of it. So it's really as simple as that. Sometimes it comes down to 1 or 2 plays, and that was really, for all intents and purposes, that was the game. When are you going to win a game? I don't know. It doesn't get any easier from here. I mean, you could beat the Saints this week. The Saints aren't juggernauts. You could beat the Saints this week. It's a week-to-week league, as we all know. You could beat the Saints this week. Will you? I don't know. I don't like your chances, in the next few weeks. It's not a great situation that you've put yourself in. Let's look at your next few games. You've got the Cowboys, I think, in 2 weeks. That's a winnable game. It's family business. Got the Giants on the Saints on the road. That probably will be played in Jacksonville, somewhere like that. You got the Cowboys in Dallas after that. Then you have the Rams at home. Ouch. Panthers at home. Ugh. Chiefs on the road. Yikes. Raiders on the road. Oh, at home. Ouch. Bucks at the crib. Ooh. If you don't get the Saints or the Cowboys, you might not win another game until week number 12 against the Eagles, possibly. It's that bad. So I would advise you to try to get this one this week. You could easily be 0-9, 0-10, going into that Eagles game down the road. That's why it was so important to beat Washington. You didn't, but you had to beat Atlanta, and you didn't. Now you're in trouble. Will the next GM extend Saquon and Daniel Jones? Saquon, yes. Daniel Jones, jury's still out. That's the thing. When you change GMs, he didn't draft any of these guys. He's going to keep Saquon because I don't care where you were or what your evaluation was. You love Saquon Barkley. So he'll extend Saquon. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, he might have had a terrible grade on Daniel Jones and felt like Daniel Jones was a 3rd-round quarterback. So, and if Daniel Jones hasn't changed his mind, by now, then I don't know. So it's hard to answer that question. You would like to think that the ownership, the Maras, would try to hire someone that if they believed in Daniel Jones, they want the GM to believe in Daniel Jones. But again, they'll tell you anything to get the job. Yeah, I believe in this guy. I think we can win with him. They get the job. You're not going to fire him because you got to pay him now. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. They could draft a quarterback and Daniel Jones could just be a bridge and they can move on from him or whatever the case may be. It's hard to say with Daniel Jones right now. We'll see what happens. The Phillies Ace 34, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Phillies Ace 34, thank you for being a member of the MOBB as well. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Louis, you're the best, my friend. Likewise, the Phillies ace 34. He said, you can trash my Eagles and Hurts, but it doesn't look good when Buffalo beats y'all like y'all stole something. Just saying. That's facts, but Buffalo was in the AFC Championship game last year. The Cowboys were not. So that's the difference is you try to be respectful of family, business and family members. And so you try not to get your ass whooped by family members. It's one thing if you get beat up by an outsider. That's pretty damn good, I may add. And I'm not making any excuses. We got our asses handed to us. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. There's no excuse for that. But it's even worse. It's 10 times worse when it's on primetime television. I've always said, and I'll always feel this way, let me get my ass whooping, okay? If I'm going to have my clothes stripped and a leather belt taken to my backside, I'd much rather have that happen at 1 o'clock in obscurity when only those two fan bases are watching, okay? So only the Buffalo Bills fans and Washington fans are present for the ass whooping. There's nothing worse than going on national television for everyone to see, have your pants pulled down, and then beaten repeatedly. There's nothing worse. That's what happened to you on Monday night. So, yes, I can make fun of that and the fact that it happened at the hands of a family member. That makes it even worse. So, yeah. I'm not absolving my boys of getting their asses spanked. We got spanked and spanked good. But that doesn't mean yours is any better. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to the next segment in slate skating. All right. Hope you got your skates on. I got my rollerblades on. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's run through the slate quickly in week 3 in the National Football League. So Washington, as the Phillies ace just brought up, got their asses handed to them at the hands of the Buffalo Bills, 43-21. This game was 21-0 early stages of the second quarter. Washington makes a furious comeback, cuts it to a 7-point deficit, even had the ball with a chance to tie this game up at 20-21. Squandered that opportunity. Bills don't look back. They scored 2 field goals right before the half to extend the lead back out to double digits at 27-14, and then just absolutely ramrod Washington in the second half of the ball game. Run away and hide. I think after the score got to 21-14, the Bills ran off 22 unanswered points to extend this thing out to 43-14 at one point. Washington gets a garbage time touchdown to make it look somewhat respectable. But when you get your ass beat by 22, still isn't that respectable. This ass whooping was the second worst of the week 3 slate. Only bested by the Jets getting blanked by the Broncos 26-0. So Washington took one on the chin for sure. Taylor Heineke took a massive step backwards, 2 interceptions, including a really bad interception that hurt them early in this ball game. And when the score was 14-0, that really kind of opened the floodgates for the Bills. A big fumble by Logan Thomas. They turned it over 3 times, did Washington in this game. Tough to do that and expect to beat a team. Josh Allen was phenomenal. 32 of 43, 358, 4 touchdowns. He was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week with that performance, and he deserved to be. There's nothing more embarrassing in a 1 o'clock game. Of course, the only thing worse is getting beat on primetime television like you stole something. There's nothing worse than having the starting quarterback of the team you're playing against wearing a ball cap and chumming it up with his teammates on the sidelines with about 5 minutes left in the game because he's already finished his day's work and you're getting your ass beat so badly he doesn't need to play anymore. That's embarrassing. Felt like a preseason game. Washington has to be much better. One of the biggest surprises to the start of this season is just how bad Washington's defense has been. They were atrocious in this game. The Bills scored on 8 of 12 possessions. And again, don't let that fool you. One of the possessions was at the end when they brought in Mitchell Trubisky to run out the clock, which they effectively did on the offensive side of the football. Bills racked up over 480 yards of total offense in this game and went 9 of 15 on third downs and 4 of 6 in the red zone as they poured it on Washington for their second consecutive victory to get to 2-1 on the season. Washington now 1-2. One of the more crazier offensive statistical anomalies that you'll see was in the Cleveland Browns Chicago Bears game, as the Browns win 26-6 over the Chicago Bears. This was a laugher if you were a Browns fan, and if you're a Bears fan, you're crying out loud for help. I don't know where it's going to come from. You're hoping that, you asked for Justin Fields, you get him, and now you're like, is Andy Dalton going to be ready this week or what? Now, some of that is on Matt Nagy. Okay, a lot of it is on Matt Nagy, and this offensive line is horrendous, but Justin Fields looked lost out on the football field. And I told you that at the end of that Cincinnati game when he had to come in, he looked lost in that game, if not for his legs on a late third down and Joe Burrow throwing 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight possessions, including a pick 6. They don't win last week against Cincinnati. And so Fields was 6 of 20 for 68 yards. But in the NFL, when you get sacked, they subtract that from your passing total. In college, they subtract it from your rushing total. In the NFL, they subtract it from your passing total. So technically speaking, let's go to the stats. The Bears had 1 passing yard in the game. The Bears had 1 passing yard in the game. It was amazing. This guy was running backwards, and Myles Garrett is tracking him from behind, and Jadeveon Clowney is smacking him around, and Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. The Browns as a team had 9 sacks in this game. Both quarterbacks were getting sacked. The Bears had 5 sacks of their own, 14 sacks total in the game between the two teams, but 9 sacks of Justin Fields equals to 1 yard passing. Of the 68 yards, he only gets 1 yard credit of passing in this game. Their yards per play was 1.1 yards. I've never heard of anything in my life. Never heard of anything so crazy. They had 47 total yards of offense in this game, did the Bears. Let me say that again because I know that's hard to fathom. 47 yards of total offense on 42 plays, which equals out to 1.1 yard per play. Oh my God. The Bears are terrible. Matt Nagy's terrible. The offensive line is terrible. Something must be done. I don't know what will be done, but something has to be done. The Browns are now 2-1. And let me give you a word of fantasy advice. I don't do this very often, but if you're out there and you're in a fantasy league and you want to do yourself a favor, and you can thank me later, or you can thank me now, it's up to you. Check your waiver wire and see if running back Demetric Felton is available for the Cincinnati or for the Cleveland Browns. If he is, I would go ahead and pick him up. You're welcome. Ravens at Lions, 19-17 is the final score here. This game was wacky. When you look at how this thing started, 10-0 Ravens at halftime, you're thinking, okay, they're going to win this thing going away. The Lions stink. But Hollywood single-handedly tried to keep the Lions in this game with drop pass after drop pass after drop pass. And what it effectively did is, instead of the Ravens scoring touchdowns, they had to keep settling for field goals because of dropped and missed opportunities. And so instead of them winning this game, 24-6 or 24-13 or something like that late in the game, they're only up 16-6, and then it's 16-9, and then they get the touchdown. And it's just crazy how this game went. It was 16-7 for a little while there, and then the Lions, and DeAndre Swift was amazing in this game. He, to me, did everything for this Lions team. Let's see what he did. He had 14 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown, but he also was a big-time receiving threat in this game. 7 for 60, so he had over 100 yards of all-purpose offense. He was fantastic in this game, but obviously they take the lead. They play super soft at the end, even though they had the Ravens in a 4th and forever. And it came back to haunt them. It's unfortunate because they did everything they could to win that game. The Ravens tried to piss this game away, and I thought they were going to lose, and they deserved to lose this game. The Lions deserved to win this game. They really did. And Justin Tucker comes on. I've already explained the situation. 66-yarder. Didn't think he was going to make it. Hits the crossbar. Comes through. And they win the game. Epic finish. Crazy win. But you know what? This says to me in the first 2 weeks, with the fumble by Clyde Edwards-Helaire in week 2, and then the Tucker field goal in week 3, what it says to me, and now they're getting some reinforcements on the Ravens. Rashad Bateman and Miles Boykin both pulled off of IR today. So those guys are going to be active and ready to go if there are no setbacks for week 4's contest. What that says to me is that this Baltimore Ravens team, not necessarily is a team of destiny, but they're going to end up winning 11, 12 games when it could have easily been a down year where they went 9 games and missed the postseason. They're gonna be in the postseason. This was the opportunity for them to start 0-3. They were on the cusp of doing exactly that, or starting no worse than 1-2. And here they are at 2-1 and quite alive in what is all of a sudden a wide open AFC North. Steelers stink. Okay, Steelers are absolutely garbage can juice. And so the Browns are sitting there at 2-1. So are the Bengals. So are these Ravens. It's wide open in that division. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Ravens get the win. They easily could have lost this game. You feel for Dan Campbell, who thought he had his first win as Lions head coach. Slipped right through their fingers. And there's a great shot of Romeo Okwara sitting on the ground in disbelief as the Ravens are celebrating right in front of him. That dejection that you see from Romeo Okwara on the field is exactly how I would have felt as a Lions fan. Like, literally, you're excited, you think you've won, and you've got victory snatched right from under you. And now you're chewing on the bitter taste of defeat. That's as brutal as it gets as a fan. Anyway, Colts at the Titans. So the Titans win this game 25-16. A.J. Brown gets injured in this game. So does Julio Jones. Julio! But I want to start by saying Carson Wentz. Say what you want about Carson Wentz. He's one tough son of a bitch. Okay? Just understand that. I don't know how the hell he played on 2 sprained ankles. At certain points of this game, he could barely move. And yet he was out there giving his team a chance. And Carson Wentz at 50%, which is probably, he might have been at 35%. Gives them a better shot than either of the backup quarterbacks. And he only went 19 of 37 for 194 yards. But boy, was that a gutty performance, man. Carson Wentz is tough as nails. Got to give him credit for that. But the defense of the Colts kept him in the game. They picked off Ryan Tannehill twice. But the offense just didn't have enough juice for the Colts. They just didn't have enough juice. And Derrick Henry, once again, King Henry. 28 carries, 113 yards, led the way for this Titans offensive attack. And Ryan Tannehill with 3 touchdown tosses to get the win, to take their record to 2-1. Honestly, if you're Tennessee, you just got to take care of business. You should be able to lock this thing up by Thanksgiving. This division stinks. The Colts are now 0-3. The Jags are 0-3. And the Texans are 1-2. And they're starting a rookie quarterback for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So you just keep winning, man. You just keep taking care of business, and you should be able to have this thing sewn up by November. Chargers at Chiefs, one of the more thrilling games of the 1 o'clock hour. Justin Herbert, he did it again. And what's so fascinating, they get the win 30-24 over the Chiefs. Remember, they were in a similar situation last year. I want to say it was week 2 when Herbert made his first career NFL start. Surprisingly enough, because we thought that they were going to have Tyrod Taylor. He has the injection to his lung. It was all bad. Herbert has to start. He comes out in his first start against the Chiefs, plays a phenomenal game, a whale of a ball game, gave him a chance to win, and they blow it late. And so it was a similar game, man. I mean, literally, the Chargers jump on the Chiefs 14-3, and I'm like, what the hell is going on right now with this Chiefs football team? And I told you guys, I said, this isn't the same Chiefs team from the last, 3 or 4 years. And I said, the biggest difference is after Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, there isn't another guy. Remember, I've said this, and I said it all offseason. I said, they're going to need Mecole Hardman to step up and be a stud, because there's always been another guy. Okay. You take away, Kelsey, you take away Tyreek Hill, there's always been Samuel Watkins. And say what you want, he's always hurt, this, that, and the third. He was always there when they needed him, it felt like. And now there isn't that other guy, And so they're missing that extra oomph offensively. They just don't have it right now. There's not that other guy you got to worry about. You don't want Demarcus Robinson posing as your number 2 receiver, which at times he is right now. Mecole Hardman at times is unimpactful, invisible. Let's see how many times he touched the ball in this game and if he was even a factor. Mecole Hardman, 3 catches for 33 yards. That's just not enough. And he had 1 rush for 2 yards. That's not enough. Literally, Kelsey had 7 catches. Hill had 5 catches. That's the bulk of their offense right now. They got, you got Pringle and Robinson and all of these guys. It's just not enough offensively. And Herbert was out there stroking that thing. And I told you this Chiefs defense isn't good. And everybody knows it. The Chiefs fans are saying that's going to be our undoing. And the defense did enough for them to have a chance to win. And as bad as you might have think the defense had played in this game, at the end of the day, and Chiefs are turning it over again. They had 2 turnovers in this game. I think did Edwards-Helaire fumble? I think he fumbled again in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I think they had 4 turnovers for the Chiefs in this ball game, including 2 interceptions by Mahomes. But here's the thing that's different this year. And I want to talk about the Chargers quickly, and then we'll move on. As much as we talk about the Chiefs and winning games late, and Mahomes and his magic and how he's so great, he's this, he's that. This is the second week in a row the Chiefs have had the football offensively, which is what you want if you're a Chiefs fan. You want the offense to have the ball with a chance to win late in the ball game. This is the second week in a row they've botched that opportunity. Last week, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the fumble that led to the loss against the Ravens. This week, the interception thrown by Patrick Mahomes. Who didn't think with, I think it was about 3 minutes left, maybe, the Chiefs got the football back. Who didn't think Mahomes in a tie ball game at 24 apiece wasn't about to take them down the field and at worst get in the field goal range? Testament to the Chargers defense. He throws a pick on 3rd and long, and they turn that pick into, and I thought they made a mistake. When they scored the touchdown, I'm like, what are you doing? Brandon Staley, what are you doing? You run this football. They're already inside the Chiefs' 15-yard line. I think they were inside the 10, matter of fact. You run this ball. You get down in bounds. You run this puppy down to about 3 seconds, and you kick the walk-off field goal. But, again, I don't blame them. Their kicker had already missed an extra point in this game. And that might have been his thought process. Like, I don't trust this guy, Vizcaino, to make this damn kick. He already missed from 33 on an extra point. I put him out there for a 31-yarder. He might miss again. Let's just put this shit in the end zone. And that they did. Mike Williams with a touchdown grab makes it 30-24. And Justin Herbert made some big throws on that drive. Man, is this guy good or what? I feel like Coming to America. That boy good. That boy is good. And he showed it again. And it's not a changing of a guard in that division, even though now the Chargers are 2-1. The Raiders are 3-0. The Broncos are 3-0. And the Chiefs, for the first time since 2015, sit at the bottom of the division all by their lonesome at 1-2. Who would have thought? We'll talk more about that on the podcast on Friday. It's not a changing of the guard. The Chiefs are not dead, and I'm not burying them. They play the NFC East. They'll get back on their horse. They'll figure it out. But what this has done is this has started a rivalry. This will be the biggest rivalry for the next decade plus in that division. Won't be Raiders Chiefs. Won't be Broncos Chiefs. Won't be Broncos Raiders. It'll be Chargers Chiefs. And we'll be looking forward to these games on the schedule. Next year, mark my words, next year, one of these Chargers Chiefs games will be on either Christmas or Thanksgiving or one of these major primetime holidays, probably Thanksgiving night. You'll get Chargers and Chiefs. Mark my words. Big win for the Chargers. That defense was outstanding. They forced 4 turnovers. They got the stop late and the interception when we thought Mahomes was going to take it down the field. And that offense was just as clutch as it could be when the game was on the line, tied at 24. Herbert does it again. He did it against Washington when they needed a 4-minute drive to salt the game away. He made every throw. They needed it here. He made every throw. They win the football game 30-24. The Chiefs are now 1-2. I repeat, the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-2. They could easily be 0-3. They should have lost to the Browns in week 1. Are you kidding me? Saints at Patriots. This was my most surprising outcome, and I don't know why, of week number 3. I thought the Saints were going to go wet the bed again. They wet it the week before. The Patriots were coming off of a dominant defensive performance against the Jets and Zach Wilson. And I just thought defensively they're going to bottle up Jameis Winston. And Winston was 13 of 21 for 128 yards. Like, if you let them run the football and you turn it over, they just want Winston to babysit. If you force Jameis Winston to have to beat you with his arm, that's when the Saints are in trouble. He's babysitting games right now. He babysitted in week 1 against the Packers because the Packers were so bad offensively and their defense was so dominant. He didn't have to do much. And in this game, he didn't have to do much. Mac Jones finally wet the bed. We've been waiting. We've been talking about all these rookies and how they've been stinking it up and how Mac Jones is taking care of the football. Well, Mac Jones was awful in this game. He had 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. Now, you could argue the pick 6 probably wasn't totally his fault. Was a little bit behind the receiver, but you never want your receiver to pop the damn ball into the air and allow the guy that's covering him to pick it off and walk into the end zone, which is essentially what happened with that particular interception and Malcolm Jenkins getting into the end zone. But Mac Jones, 1 touchdown, 3 INTs in this game. You never want your rookie quarterback throwing it 51 times, but that's what happened in this game. Meanwhile, the Saints were able to run it to the tune of, let's see how many yards they had rushing. Alvin Kamara had 89. I know that for sure. They ran it for 142 yards on 38 attempts, which allows them to control the pace of this game. Their defense was phenomenal in this game, as I mentioned. 3 interceptions of Mac Jones in this game, and they didn't beat themselves with penalties. They didn't turn it over themselves. And again, when you allow Jameis Winston to just turn around and hand it off and not have to put the ball in harm's way, this is what can happen to you. The Saints still are one of the better defensive teams in the league. So if you let them force turnovers and let Jameis Winston just manage the game, this is what can happen. 28-13, Saints go on the road and really embarrass the Patriots heading into the massive matchup with Tom Brady visiting Foxborough for the first time since his departure. They can't feel good about where they sit, as the Patriots are now 1-2. They could easily be 2-1 on the season. They should have won week 1 versus the Dolphins, but had that big fumble by Damian Harris. But still, they don't look good. They're not making the playoffs this year. The Patriots aren't good enough. They're defensively, I think, are good enough to be in ball games most weeks, but they're still going to need their offense to be better. And I just think their offense is Anyway, Falcons at the Giants. This was a really snooze fest of a ball game. I mean, we're talking about 7-3 at halftime, 7-3 after 3 quarters of football, and then finally we had an outburst of points in the 4th quarter. The Giants score 8 to take a 14-7 lead, and I think it was 7-6 after the halftime. I think it was 7-6, not 7-3. I think it was 7-6 at halftime and then 7-6 after 3 quarters. And then we had the explosion of points in the 4th quarter. 10 for the Falcons, including the game winner. I already talked about Younghoe Koo making it from about 41 yards out to get the win. And then 8 points from the Giants. Oh my God, an outburst. Daniel Jones ran over a defender for the 2-point conversion to give the Giants a 14-7 lead. And I already talked about the big play in this game. Really, it was the dropped interception by Adoree Jackson. Matt Ryan panics down in the red zone on a 3rd down, pressure in his face. He throws it up for grabs in the back of the end zone. Adoree Jackson is the only guy within 2 yards in any direction of the football, and he just dropped it. He just simply, comes off of a guy, sees it, goes right off his fingertips. And next play, Matt Ryan finds his 3rd string tight end, Lee Smith, for a touchdown. They tackle on the extra point, make it 14-all. Giants can't get it done. As a matter of fact, I think we had a trading of turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure that I am correct here. I think we had a trading of turnovers late. Let's see. No, a punt. It was a punt by the Giants that got it back to the so the trading of the turnovers was at the end of the half. The Giants fumbled and then the Falcons fumbled. But the Giants punted after a 7-play drive, and the Falcons got the football, and 7 plays, 58 yards, got in the field goal range and kicked the walk-off field goal. I'm going to just tell you this. Cordero Patterson has been fantastic to start the season off for the Falcons. I would argue right now he's their most valuable player on the offensive side of the football to start this season for the Falcons. Bengals at the Steelers, 24-10. Bengals get it done. I should have picked the Bengals. I wanted to pick them so badly. I mean, when I tell you I really wanted to pick them, I only didn't pick them because they pissed me off the week before by not beating the Bears, and I picked them the week prior, and Joe Burrow threw up all over himself and cost them that game. And so, but I said to myself, Pittsburgh can't score no damn points. But I was thinking the psychology of the matchup. It's family business. Steelers are at home. They know how to beat Cincinnati. Well, they not when you can only score 10. You don't know how to beat anybody when you only score 10 points. And I already told you this last week. The Steelers' offense might be the worst in football. They're anemic offensively. Ben can't move. He's inaccurate with the football. They had a great opportunity in this game. Down the field, they were down big late, and you got James Washington streaking down the field, wide open. That's the play they needed. They were down 24-10 with about 6 minutes left, and they needed a quick strike to give them a chance. That's the one. That's the one Ben's been hitting his entire career down the sideline. Washington for a 91-yard touchdown. That was it. He missed it by 3 yards. And I talked about the missed field goal already. It didn't matter. They weren't going to win this game. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase connection strikes again. 2 more touchdowns for Jamar Chase. Remember, he couldn't catch in the preseason. Well, he's catching everything now. He had a great catch on a deep ball from Burrow where he caught the back end of the football. Burrow laid it out there. Chase went and got it. They're making beautiful music. Joe Burrow bounces back after a rough outing last week with 3 picks, 14 of 18 for 172 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. Meanwhile, Ben Roethlisberger, 38 of 58 for 318, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And don't let that 318 fool you. 14 receptions for running back Najee Harris for 102 yards. That's the shit that Ben Roethlisberger is on right now. He's dumping it down to the back 14 times for 100 yards. So Ben's struggling, man. Ben's struggling. He stinks. There's even a conversation being had. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but there's even a conversation being had right now about potentially benching Ben Roethlisberger. And I'm going, for who? For who? Anyway, I want to talk more about Cincinnati real quick. Their defense is ridiculous. Their defense is so good. I told you I loved the defensive moves made in the offseason, and you're seeing those moves pay off. Trey Hendrickson, and I tell you, one of their young linebackers, Wilson, out of Wyoming. This guy's a stud. I told you he was a watered-down version, a great value version of Leighton Vander Esch. He might be better than Leighton Vander Esch at this point, minus the neck issues. This guy is a walking interception. He picked off Roethlisberger in this game, had a big pick last week against the Bears. This guy is a walking interception. He was an interception machine at Wyoming. He's continuing to do it now. They picked up Chidobe Awuzie. He's playing strong corner for them. Also picked up the corner Mike Hilton from the Steelers. He's playing exceptional football. They're coming together defensively. They got some talent. Jesse Bates over there. I told you I love what Larry Ogunjobi, another free agent acquisition. They've got some studs defensively. It's going to be fun watching them on Thursday night. I think you guys are going to enjoy watching Cincinnati's offense and defense. They get the win 24-10, stifling what is a very trifling Steelers offense. Now the Bengals are 2-1 and the Steelers are 1-2. Cardinals at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember what I told you guys on Friday leading up to this game? I said, this is the type of game that Arizona goes to Jacksonville and wets the bed and loses or almost loses. That's why I couldn't pick them as my survivor pick. They would have had me sweating bullets. They were down in this game at one point, 19-7, or they were down 13-7 at the halftime break. We saw the kick six, the return by Jamal Agnew, but They were up in this game 19-10. They were in control of this ball game. 2 missed extra points really hurt them, but they were in control. And then the Jags happened. The shit that they always do. They give up plays. Trevor Lawrence throws a pick 6. He seems to throw one of those every single week. He had 2 more interceptions in this game. They tried to get cute with some trickeration, a flea flicker. The Cardinals weren't having it. He gets picked off. Kyler Murray doing Kyler Murray things in this game. He's ridiculous. AJ Green. It's AJ Green. Had a big game. 5 catches, 112 yards for the Cardinals. They can hurt you in a multitude of ways, and that they did. And they went off for 17 points in the third quarter, did the Cardinals, and that really hurt the Jaguars, because once the Cardinals took the lead in this game, the Jaguars folded up like a cheap tent. And you knew they were going to do that. It's going to be hard for them to win games this season because, one, they're lacking confidence. 2, they turn the ball over and make too many mistakes, miss field goals, interceptions, fumbles, drop passes. Had some more drop. Like, you got to help these young quarterbacks out. I've seen more drop passes with these young quarterbacks this season than I can remember in recent memory. Like, you got to help out Trevor Lawrence. He has at least 2 or 3 drop passes every single week. Just too many mistakes by Jacksonville on a weekly basis, and you're not good enough to make those types of mistakes. So they're 0-3. The Cardinals are now 3-0, and they've got a massive showdown this week with the Los Angeles Rams. That should be a good one. Jets at the Broncos. 26-0. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The Broncos did exactly what I thought they were going to do, dominate the Jets. Zach Wilson with 2 more interceptions. This guy's on pace to set the NFL record for the most interceptions thrown in a season by a rookie quarterback. He just continues to share the football at an alarming rate. I still think the guy's super talented, but they're just not very good. The Jets stink. They're the worst team in football. I'm convinced of it. They get blanked this week. Last week, they barely scored 6 points. They scored 14 in the second half against Carolina, but they stink, man. I mean, God, are they bad. The Broncos pretty much dominated this game from start to finish. Teddy Bridgewater continues to do Teddy Bridgewater things. 19 of 25 for 235 and just continues to manage the game well. Their second-round pick running back, Javonte Williams, he's a stud. They got a nice 1-2 punch between Melvin Good in the third and Javonte Williams. And then they can run it. I love Tim Patrick. He had 5 catches for 98 yards. If I were a team looking for a receiver in free agency next year, Tim Patrick would be a guy that would be really high on my list. He was good in this game. And the Broncos were up 17-0 at halftime, and they never looked back. They dominated this game. And I'll tell you what, the Denver Broncos are gaining confidence, and that defense is legit. They're one of the better defenses in football. They're going to be a fun team to watch continue to grow as the season goes along. They had a massive injury in this game, though, as they lose wide receiver KJ Hamler for the entire season to a torn ACL. That one stings because Hamler was having a great start to the season. Dolphins at Raiders was another fantastic game here. Went to overtime. Raiders get the win 31-28. Teams trade field goals in overtime. This game was 25-25 heading into the extra frame. Dolphins jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Raiders claw back, scratch and claw back to a 14-12 deficit at the halftime break. The Raiders would go on to score 25 unanswered points in this game as the Dolphins got stuck on 14. But then in the fourth quarter, the Dolphins rally to score 11 unanswered, including a touchdown as time expires by Jacoby Brissett running it in, and then a 2-point conversion to Will Fuller V, making his Dolphins debut with the 2-point conversion to knock this thing up at 25. The Raiders take the opening kick of overtime, get in the field goal range. The Dolphins match that field goal with one of their own, and then the Raiders do it once more to win this game 31-28. I can tell you this was a gutsy performance by Jacoby Brissett. I've shitted on Jacoby Brissett in the past, but this was a gutsy performance. He gave them a chance in this game, man. Peyton Barber, I miss Peyton Barber, man. I really, really miss Peyton Barber. And watching this game, Peyton Barber, 23 carries, 111 yards. He had a massive run in overtime to get the Raiders in the field goal range the second time to put this thing on ice. He got every big conversion that they needed. He was huge. Peyton Barber was fantastic in this game. Jumped over the top on the critical conversion down by the end zone. Peyton Barber was fantastic. I had a Raiders fan, I think it was my guy Dre on Twitter, hit me up and say, "Hey man, thanks for Peyton Barber. This guy's a walking 4 yards a pop." And I'm like, "You're not welcome." You're not welcome. Love me some Peyton Barber, and he went out there and balled for the Raiders. Derek Carr continues to play hot football to start. 26 of 43, 386, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the Raiders stay perfect, 3-0 on the season with the 31-28 victory. Dolphins are now 1-2. They're still dangerous though. They showed me some fight in this game, despite not having Tua Tagovailoa. Rams, Bucks, 34-24 win for the Rams. This was a statement game. They'll see these Bucks again, though. This wasn't the last time these two teams will lock horns this season, but this was a statement game by the Rams at home to take care of the Buccaneers. Stafford, this is why you went out and got Matthew Stafford. I thought he missed some throws, especially early in the game. Deshaun Jackson was open twice on deep balls that Stafford missed him, but he didn't miss him the third time. You know, third time was a charm. He hit him. Stafford, 27 of 38 for 343 and 4 touchdowns. He was magnificent despite those misses to Deshaun Jackson. Brady, 41 of 55 for 432 and a touch. This is the problem right here for Tampa. Tom Brady can't be your leading rusher with 3 carries for 14 yards. That's the problem for the Buccaneers, is you can't have Brady be your leading rusher. Ronald Jones, 5 carries, 11 yards. Fournette, 4 carries, 8 yards. That's a losing recipe. You can't have that be the way you play football. Can't rely on 87-year-old Tom Brady to carry you every single week. That run game has to be better than that. But Deshaun Jackson, 3 catches, 120. Look, we don't know. This is the beauty of Deshaun Jackson in this offense. They don't need him to go out there and be on the field for 37 plays. 15 plays for D-Jax. Let him get vertical 4 or 5 times. Throw it up to him. Hopefully he stays healthy with that formula, you know. But when he's out there, man, is he a problem. Big game for him. And the defense for the Rams got after Tom Brady a bit. I think they sacked him about 4 times in this game. 3 sacks of Brady in this game. And I just thought that this was a well-played football game on both sides, just that the Rams were better. They were better. And the Bucs secondary is a problem, which is why they went out and signed Dick Sherman today. That's the big news of the day today in the NFL. Dick Sherman, now a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 1-year, $2.25 million deal. And my guy Reed talked about this 2 weeks ago. I don't want anything to do with that head case. And I'm like, bro, you're probably going to need him. And he changed his tune this past week after they got their asses handed to him. He's like, about what I said about Dick Sherman, I think we might need him, Lou. That you do, and now he's a Buccaneer. Let's see how they play things. Remember, I told you, he's not a man-to-man corner. Hopefully, they understand that, put him in situations to succeed. But Rams make a statement, 34-24. They remain undefeated on the season. Seattle at Minnesota. This was another surprising outcome to me. Seattle jumps out 10-0 in this game. It was a critical penalty on Ugo Amadi in this game. They were up 10-0. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins is sacked on 3rd down. They got a punt. Ugo Amadi is flagged for holding on 3rd and long. Gives them, if they would have had to punt, they had all the momentum in the game. Did Seattle at that time? The Vikings were just anemic at the time. That penalty jump-started the Vikings offense, and they never looked back. They scored a touchdown on that drive. The Seahawks respond with a touchdown, make it 17-7. The Vikings go right back, get the touchdown right back, cut it to a 3-point deficit at 17-14. Then they get the stop that they needed, get the football, or they get the missed field goal, as I mentioned already, and that was a big miss by Jason Myers. And then the Vikings take the lead for good right before the half, 21-17. They don't look back. They win this football game 30-17. Kirk Cousins was magnificent. I mean, this was some of the best ball I've seen him play. And I've seen him play some really good games in Minnesota. 38 of 30 for 323 and 3 touchdowns. I thought he was just outstanding in this game. Every throw that had to be made, he made it. Some critical throws on 3rd down, some thread-the-needle throws on 3rd down, including a touchdown to Adam Thielen early in the game on a 3rd down where he had to put it where it was. There were some big throws by Kirk in this game, and he was outstanding. Alexander Madison took over for the injured Dalvin Cook. 26 carries, 112 yards. He was outstanding. Justin Jefferson, 9 carries, 118 yards. So the Vikings all around had it going offensively. Thought they just looked good. They looked like a team whose back was up against the wall. They responded as such, and they look good, man. I still think the Vikings aren't going to be a good team this year. And when I say aren't going to be a good team, 8 wins is what I have them predicted to do, which is a disappointment for them. But this was a team that looked like they could easily be 2-1 right now. They could be 3-0. They should have beat Cincinnati after coming back, even though I thought Cincinnati outplayed them in that game. They could have won that game without the fumble of Dalvin Cook. They should have won last week against Arizona, and then they win here. They could easily be 3-0 right now, but they're 1-2. But they're a dangerous team. They're a scary team. I wouldn't want to play Minnesota. That's for sure. We've already talked about Packers and 49ers on overtime, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. Big kick by Mason Crosby. I thought the 49ers botched the end of game situation there. Should have run it, the clock down more. You had all 3 of your timeouts. Kyle Juszczyk was contacted at the 2-yard line. Thought they should have, scored with less than 20 seconds to go in the football game or whatever, 10 seconds, whatever. Packers win that game 30-28. They're 2-1 on the season, and now the 49ers are 2-1 as well. And then we get to Monday Night Football. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this game either. So, 41-21, Dallas gets the win. I just kind of want to focus. I've already broken that game down. I just want to focus on the Eagles side of things. Cowboys, they made a statement, and I said that on overtime. I'm going to say it once more. They made a statement to the rest of the NFC East that if you want this division, even though it's not ours to defend, we're the best team in this division, and you're going to have to come and get us. And that's what this game said. They made a statement. They made a statement in week 1 against the Bucs when they barely lost that game. They made a statement by going on the road and beating the Chargers, who looked like a really good team. And now they make a statement here on Monday Night Football, destroying the Philadelphia Eagles by 20 in a game that ultimately really wasn't even as close as the score indicates. I just want to talk about Jalen Hurts for a second, because so many Eagles fans have boosted up. The media is boosting this guy up. He had a 500% increase on jersey sales and all of this stuff. If he played for any other team but the Eagles, I probably would be rooting for this guy like hell. But he plays for the Eagles, and they are insufferable as a fan base. Not all of you, not the Phillies ace, not Alex, not my girl Reby, not all Eagles fans, but most of them are insufferable. And so I'm listening to all these people, Hurt season with Lord Brunson, and I'm listening to Sal Powell, who's a Jersey guy or a Philly guy working for ESPN, boosting up this team, and they're talking about rents due and, all of this bullshit. And so after the game, Jalen Hurts, and I love Jalen Hurts. He's a smart dude. He wants it. He works hard. Like, it's hard not to root for him, but Eagles fans make it easy to not root for him. So after the game, he's got all these great sayings. That's why I think this guy's really smart. He gets it. He's like, he says you drop a deuce. You don't sit and look at it. You flush it and move on. That's correct. But I grew up, and see, that's what's wrong with these young boys today. They don't wipe their ass. Everything's going on, and they're always constantly in motion, and they don't take the time to sit there and wipe until there's no more brown. Couple of swipes and they're out of there. And so you said you just flush it. Well, you forgot to wipe your ass, Jalen. And you know what happens when you don't properly wipe your ass? You stink. I can still smell the stench of the ass whooping on Monday night. Smells like shit. And I've been hearing all of this rinse due. You know what I say to that? You know what I say to the rent being due?
Hey, Stu, your rent's due, motherfucker. And don't be pulling that falling down the stairs shit on me, you hear? Are you conscious?
Yeah, rent's due, mother effer. Don't try that falling down the steps shit either. Don't try that falling down the steps shit. Rent's due. The rent was due last week when you played the San Francisco 49ers and you scored 11 points. The rent was due this week when you played the Dallas Cowboys on national television and you threw 2 picks, including a pick 6. That first pick was egregious. Your man had a step and you underthrew him by 3 yards right to Anthony Brown, who stinks. Yeah, rent's due, bruh. And you've been late for 2 weeks. Don't try that falling down the steps shit either. Rent's due. Pay up. Now you got the Chiefs this week. Anyway, I digress. I had a friend growing up, God rest his soul. He was too busy to wipe his ass. He would go in the bathroom, couple of swipes, he's out of there. He stunk. We loved him. Funky as hell. Jalen, don't be that guy. Rents due. Don't try that falling down the steps shit. I digress. Let's move on to the final segment of the show. And you know what it is. It's garbage time. We're going to do a Thursday night look ahead. I got a couple of super chats real quick to knock out, though, before we get out of here. Captain Spartan 04 says, see, Aaron says he really likes Pittsburgh. Not saying, hey, I mean, that might be the move. That's a veteran team ready to win now. I'm not saying, I'm just saying we'll see. But you got to sit through this year first before you can start talking about Aaron Rodgers next year, right? Absolutely. Johnny 68740. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, hey, Louie, what's up, Johnny? What you think of Jamie Collins? I think he's going back to New England personally. You know, one of those dudes that seems to be a system fit. Every time he goes somewhere else, it never works. And so I'm not the biggest fan of Jamie Collins. I'm good. He's a freelancer. He seems to only work in New England. And honestly, if you ask me, that's probably where he'll end up. If he goes anywhere, probably be back in New England. Maybe Miami. It'll be somebody that's familiar with him, which, of course, they have a head coach that was the linebackers coach in New England who may be familiar with him. But I think he goes back to New England. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Thursday night look ahead. So we got Jacksonville at Cincinnati, man. I'll tell you what. This is going to be a fun game. And the last two first overall picks in the draft, Lockhorns, Jacksonville's not going to win this game. They're 0-3. The Bengals are 2-1. This is more about Cincinnati than it is Jacksonville, because I don't think you guys know how good Cincinnati is, and you're going to get a true taste of what they can be. They're 2-1. They're going to be 3-1 after this game. That defense is good, man. They're really good, and you're going to get to see that. They're going to pick off if the trend continues with what we've seen from Trevor Lawrence in the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're going to pick him off 2 or 3 times in this game. They're going to sack him a bunch, pressure him, make him uncomfortable. And that offense, they're coming along. Joe Mixon's a stud. We see what Jamar Chase is. He's a stud. And Joe Burrow's starting to get back acclimated. He actually got back acclimated a little bit quicker than I thought. I thought he was going to be a little bit more skittish early in the season. But he's starting to settle down, be comfortable with trash around his feet, deliver the football. They're going to win this thing going away. 31-16 is the score, I think. But this is more about Cincinnati. I want you guys to take a long, hard look at Cincinnati in this game and tell me what you think, because I think they're going to ultimately be a team that is much better. And I said this before the season started. I think they're going to be better. I didn't expect them to start the season off 3-1, which is what they're ultimately going to do. But I think they have a chance to be much better than people thought going into the season. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but we will see. So, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louis T, here on the 207th installment of the Louis T Network podcast. Thank you guys for joining me. Jason Rogers with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jason Rogers, who writes, coming to America, LOL. You a fool. You're damn right I'm a fool. That's my favorite movie anyway. You know what it is. My guy, JP, thank you for the super chat. John Perez, greatly appreciate you, who writes, bruh, that was an LT rant of the year candidate. Hey, like I said, rent's due. Time to pay up. You're 2 weeks late. See what you got against the Chiefs. All this bullshit everybody talking about, hyping these guys up, hyping the Eagles up, hyping up Jalen Hurts, 500% increase in jersey sales. Okay. All right, you just dropped the deuce. Okay. You don't want to stare at it. You don't want to sit there and look at it, flush it. Okay. You didn't wipe your ass, though. You still stink. Rent's due. Don't try that falling down the steps shit. Rent's due. Anyway, I digress. It's going to do it for me, your man, Louis T. I'll be with you guys later if you're a Washington football team fan for Washington Football Nightly live later on tonight. So look forward to that. If you're not a member of the Washington football team fan base, or you just don't want to watch, I'll see you guys tomorrow for Thursday Night Football Overtime. If you're a member of Patreon, if you're a Patreon subscriber, the film breakdown for Washington is up. Check that out so we can discuss it later on tonight. Until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys later on tonight. Have a good one. Louis T.